So this video is showing the unboxing and setup of the MICHELL TecnoDec. The TecnoDec is our entry-level turntable, but carries a lot of the features found on our gyro. So in the first tray you'll have the instructions, the main chassis, the bearing body, the tone arm counterweight, some oil, the motor, the power supply, and then on the bottom tray we have the drive belt, some arm fixing screws, the tone arm is in the small cardboard box, the platter, and the 3 feet. Okay, so now we have the deck unboxed, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fit the feet onto the acrylic chassis. Now, unlike the gyro deck, the TecnoDec is an unsuspended turntable, but to give some compliance to the deck, we have what we call pucked feet. And what you have is a sorbothane disc with 6 raised sorbothane pips that give the deck a little bit of compliance. So once the deck has its feet, we can put some oil into the bearing. Now the bearing is exactly the same design as the gyro, an inverted bearing, and again, as with the gyro, you have the spiral machined into the bore, so all the time the bearing is turning, oil is drawn round the spiral to lubricate the ball, so you have a completely recirculating system. We then remove the platter retainer. The platter is a gyro platter, albeit without the weights, and that simply sits over the spindle and is just held in place with the retainer. We can now fit the motor, and as you can see, the motor is machined from a solid billet of aluminium. There's an O-ring in the base to give it stability. It's the same motor as we use on the gyro, and held in exactly the same way, whereby it's in a rubber cup to isolate the motor from the housing, and then the housing is completely detached from the playing surface. The motor sits in what we call the gauge and should be around 1 millimetre away, so it's not in contact. We then need to level the turntable and set the height so that the motor is level with the plinth, and that's done simply by unscrewing the feet off of the legs, and once that's level and the motor is level, the turntable setup is complete. Very, very simple. So now we can mount the tone arm. This particular model is our T3 tone arm. Simply mounts onto the plate. And is held in place with the 3 machine screws that are supplied with the accessories. Yeah, I think it's got too small a head on there. Okay, that's it. So tone arm setup will be covered in another video, but the counterweight simply pushes onto the rear stub. On the underside of the tone arm there is a separate connection which attaches to the small screw at the front of the arm plate, and that's there just to complete the anti-static loop of the deck. All that's left to do now is to place the belt onto the pulley attached to the platter. All that's left to do now is to fit the belt. So we place it around the groove of the pulley. Whoops. And then place it around the outside of the platter. Plug in the power supply, XLR socket on the end of the power supply, and the deck is ready for playing. All that remains is to turn on the motor and the deck is ready for playing.